One question that comes up from time to time in a lot of the Facebook groups and just in general Q&A is how do you get new business? Well, in my experience, I spent over 3 years trying to get new business in Minnesota when I was living there. And the only thing that actually worked is when I went out and just started shooting. I could email people all day long, and I got very little response to that. It wasn't until I went out. It was actually when COVID hit. I went out and I started photographing some of the commercial architecture in my city, and sure enough, I started getting business from that. In fact, one of my first shoots when I did this led to one of my first official commercial architecture shoots. And when I moved to Nashville, I did the same exact thing, and that led to shoots in Nashville. That said, I have been wanting to rank and get work in other cities, basically throughout the country. So one of my personal goals for this year and beyond is to spend some actual time traveling to some of the major cities that I want to start ranking in and I want to do work in, and spend some time photographing the architecture in the city. Now, of course, I would love to spend, days actually photographing like in detail, like how I would shoot it if I were hired on these shoots. But let's face it, not a lot of us have time to do that or the resources to do that. What we do have the time and resources to do is do a lot of research ahead of time and plan appropriately for how you can execute at least a handful of shoots and create some new blog content for your website in order to start ranking, possibly even some portfolio content. So today I want to walk you briefly through what I did over the last couple weeks and what I went out and shot today. So we'll get into that in a minute. So first and foremost, again, I wanted to rank in Charlotte because I don't have any work in Charlotte. I don't have any reason for anybody to find me in Charlotte. So Charlotte's the first city that I'm kind of targeting. So what I did was I searched Charlotte Architecture Tour, because what I essentially wanted to do was find out where all the prominent architecture is in Charlotte before I even go. I just kind of want to get a feel for what kind of architecture is in downtown Charlotte. I've only been downtown once, Charlotte, and I was only maybe driving through for about 15 minutes, so I didn't get a really good feel for what was around. So just spending about a good 20 minutes or so on Google, just researching what is showing up for architecture, it can be really helpful and can save you a lot of time. You can't even just go to images and just kind of scroll through the images and see what pops up. And you can immediately see like some of these are kind of prevalent. So this Modern Architecture Museum, which I photographed today, is pretty prevalent. This building, I saw it, but I couldn't find a good opportunity to shoot it. Let's see here. I did see this one, but I was too lazy and didn't want to find a place to park, etc. I saw this sculpture as well, but you get the idea. If you can do a quick Google search, figure out what kind of architecture is there and maybe what you want to photograph. Then from there, you can look it up on Google Maps. So for example, this art museum here, whoops. We're going to look this up on the maps. Whoops. So as you can see, there's a ton of photos that have been taken of this. And you can kind of just ask yourself, like, what angles are people most often shooting? And it's all pretty much right across the street. And there's one particular angle that I'm not seeing that I was like, I'm going to capture this. And that was all the research. And I'll show that to you. I haven't looked at these yet. I'll put my card on in just a second. But it's like this museum is shot from basically the same exact angle literally every single time. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But, there may be some other interesting angles to look at it from. So I just want to be mindful of that. I'll probably still, as I'm researching, I'm thinking to myself, I'll probably still shoot from the kind of go-to angle. But while I'm there, I want to try to find some other angles that haven't been shot from yet. See if I can find something interesting. So that's just an example of what you would do. And you just can spend some time researching, figuring out what buildings are there that you might want to shoot. Take note of them. I think there was a Charlotte Architecture Tour on Architizer, and they had an actual Google map. So I literally just sent that to myself, and I just followed the Google map for some of the buildings that I wanted to go shoot, and this happened to be one of them. In fact, I parked right in front of this building, so it was super convenient. Now, keep in mind, this is you don't want to pose as though you get hired to shoot these, because you didn't. You want to be truthful about it. And you want to go at this with the intention of, this is like just for exploration and passion. And you can communicate that in the content that you make. So in this case, I wanted to, if you look at my blog, for example, and when I did this in Nashville, exploring Nashville as an architectural photographer, photographing the changing light on the Cambria Hotel in downtown Nashville architecture, photography from the sky, etc. None of these shoots, and if you go in and read the actual content, none of them, I was never claiming that these were shots that I was hired to do. I wanted to make it very clear that this is what I was able to do just walking around the city and exploring. And, you know, showing them that, you know, it does take an architectural photographer's eye to make compelling imagery. Like, you know, anybody could go around the city and they've seen a million photos of these buildings that people have taken, like tourists have taken or amateurs have taken, but showing them through an architectural photographer's eye, that's the thing you want to kind of have in mind as you're making these. Another suggestion I make is to have blog titles ready before you even go to the shoot. So I know, for example, my blog titles I'm going to be making are Downtown Charlotte Architectural Photography Photo Walk, something to that effect. I haven't quite dialed it in, but I do know that those are going to be the topics of my blog posts. Now, I'm going to try to create maybe 3 blog posts out of this, because if I have 3 blog posts that I'm posting consistently with Charlotte keyworded in there and commercial architecture photography, that's going to make that a little bit more prevalent in this, or prominent rather, in the search results. Okay. I do plan on doing the same thing in other cities, hopefully throughout the country, but I'm going to kind of go to cities now that are easily accessible to me. And I have to also still continue to do this in Nashville. If I'm not shooting actual projects, I have to go to Nashville from time to time or make new content on Nashville. The idea is to keep feeding Google relevant content that will cause your site to show up in the search results. So that said, today I've been wanting to do this for a while, but today I finally got up early in the morning and I drove to Charlotte. It's about an hour and a half from where I'm currently at. And I parked my car and I went and did a photo walk for about 2 hours. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to put the card into my computer, and you're going to watch this whole thing real time if you want to. You can skip ahead if you'd like. So I accidentally hit record. So we're going to go ahead and import all these. I have just a basic generic import preset, nothing fancy about it, just kind of an auto adjustment. So I'm going to import everything I did. Now, a couple things in mind. All of these are just shot handheld in burst mode. I did not shoot brackets. I shot at kind of a higher ISO. A lot of these I shot with either a 24mm tilt shift lens, or I shot with my 24-70 Sony lens. And you know, some of them may even be out of focus, but my basic workflow is I park my car somewhere, I hop out really quick, I get a photo, and then I'm done. I don't put a lot of thought into it. The whole process literally takes like 5 seconds. It's also a good practice for helping you quickly find compositions and make fast decisions, right? So this is the first building I shot. This is kind of outside of downtown Charlotte. The rest of the buildings that I wanted to photograph were kind of all in a relatively closer cluster. This one was a little bit more outside, and this was designed by Perkins and Will. And I would like to get on their radar. So unfortunately, I couldn't find a good angle of this. But I wanted to capture it. So I quickly just grabbed this. I basically parked my car, hopped out, ran across the street, shot it, ran back to my car, literally in less than like 1 minute. And all I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to mark it, flag these with a P by hitting P. And I'm going to just do a quick basic auto edit on these. I'm not going to do anything fancy. I'm just going to quick and dirty. And I'll probably dial these in later when I'm actually ready to make a blog post, but I just want to kind of crop out some of the distractions and just give it kind of a nice, decent composition. I kind of like how these trees are lining the thing. And I'm actually going to unlock my crop so that I can get some of these trees down here. I'll probably remove that sign a little later. But anyway, we'll use this for now. We'll warm it up a little bit. And that's it. Quick and dirty edit. Like I said, I'll bring it into Photoshop later. I'll do some more details. And as I was driving away, this was not on my list of buildings I wanted to see. And that's another thing too. You don't have to like stick to the buildings that you planned on shoot. If you see something that catches your eye, that's a good opportunity to just pull over and shoot it. This is another building. Like, I don't know what Canopy is. Realtor. Oh, this is the Realtor Association. So, okay, cool. That's a good building. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to do a quick edit on this. Again, you can see how bad this composition is. But I just wanted to get this basic angle. I was pretty intentional though. I wanted to make sure I had to walk over about probably 100 yards to make sure that this telephone or this light pole wasn't in my frame. We're just going to go ahead and do a quick and dirty vertical correction on this. And I've got some wires that I'll Photoshop out later. That's fine. I'll probably even I want to see some of this wood up here, so I'll probably even do something with that later. But really all I'm doing is, again, quick and dirty edits right now so that I can kind of mark the ones that I want to work on. And then, yeah, we'll come back later. This is basically the same. It's not basically the same photo, just a slightly different composition. So I'm just going to sync these settings. Yeah, again, I just shoot in burst mode just because I want to make sure that I get a sharp version. And then, because I'm shooting these handheld, no tripod. So you shoot a few of those frames, one of them are bound to be sharp, assuming you get your focus in first. I'm going to take out these lines later, but for the most part, I just know, I'm marking this so that I know to come back and work on this photo later. I don't like this composition, so I'm going to skip it because I know I got a better one later. This one I saw because this is like just under construction. I figured what I could do is just do a quick edit of this. I can look close up at the sign, see which parties are involved here, and just send them, look up some email addresses, send them, hey, I was just driving through, I saw your buildings in progress. Snap this quick photo if you'd like to use it for your social media. I'd love to talk about, photographing when it's done. So I'll keep that in my back pocket for later. I probably won't make a blog post out of it unless it turns into a job later and I can use it. Okay, again, quick and dirty edit. Okay, like I said, I know I got some better compositions of this one. This is kind of a weird building. It was marked on that list, and from the photo I saw, I thought it was going to be kind of cooler, but I think part of the problem is that it was kind of, all the dead trees don't really help this building at all. So it's not super interesting to me, but I shot it anyway because it is apparently a prevalent architectural building in the area. Not in love with that composition. This one as well. I was being incredibly lazy. I drove into a parking lot. I didn't even park in a parking spot. I just stopped. I stood on the door jamb and just lifted my camera in the air and fired this off. I probably won't use it, but again, this is more just for blog content, and I'm sure I could maybe do some things with this to make it look somewhat interesting. But this is not a very well thought architectural photo. Yeah, I have some corrections to do on this, but I'll come back to that later. I don't want to spend too much time on it right now. Yeah, this stood out to me because of just these light reflections from the other buildings on here. So we're going to go ahead and just pick one of these to edit. Come back and revisit that later. Okay, and then here's that building I was talking about earlier. Okay, so like I said, I want to get it from the kind of cliche angle that everybody gets it from because I'm there, I might as well. We're just going to find a frame that works best. So we've got a car that's getting ready to move. And yeah, so I don't want this one because they're like right in the middle of the intersection, but I do like this person walking right there. So we'll just use this one here. Again, a very cliche composition. Everybody's getting it, but I have one coming up that I'm really proud of. And I haven't looked at it yet, but I remember, no, when I was there, I knew. I just knew. I was like, this is going to be a great photo. Which I love when that happens. We'll mess with this one. I mean, I understand why this is a cliche angle. It's a beautiful building. I love how this orange just pops up in this like sea of blue and gray buildings. It's nice. We'll mess with that later. This building is also cool, but I know that I took a photo later on when the light was better, so I'm just going to skip past these. So, same with this one. I know I took a better composition later, so I'm going to skip past this for now. All right, so here's my angle that I was super proud of. Again, going back to that Google search, literally nobody shot this angle, and I found it to be very interesting. This building back here is a prominent building in the Charlotte cityscape. So it should be pretty recognizable where it's at in location of this. You've got this guy who just happens to be leaning right there smoking a cigarette. You've got this guy who's in a good lower third composition, and you got this guy walking into the building. So shows a really good sense of scale. The light is absolutely freaking incredible. Talk about right place, right time. But I have to say, I'm going to give myself a little bit of kudos for dialing in this composition. You may have noticed that I skipped these over here, and these are great. However, and I really like these because I like being able to see this over here. And this image is passable, but a couple things compositionally. This is like basically directly in the center. I don't like that when things are directly in the center. And also, this just adds so much having this guy at scale. And I couldn't back up any further because there's this statue. Literally, like my camera lens is leaning up against this statue that's to my left. So this is basically the composition I had. I could have, if I had a 17 millimeter on me, I probably could have thrown that on, but I'm perfectly happy with this. Besides, had I moved over, this would have just created another bright spot. And I think that having, a composition like this, where, and I don't even think I picked one yet, where, this is still dark on the edge, it still directs the eyes over here in this area where the subject is. So let's find our favorite composition within here. I think it might just be that first one. Let's see. Yeah, because I really like having this guy here. I'm going to use this. Whoops. I'm going to use this one, I think. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and use that one. Whoops. That's going to be a fun image. I really like that one. I might even throw that in my portfolio. Who knows? And then, like I said, the light was better on this one later on, so I'm going to skip that for now. I thought this light looked cool. I had a homeless person to my left, and I don't know. I feel bad like lugging all this equipment around when there's a homeless person sitting right next to me. Not because I'm afraid of them. I just feel like, I don't know. So anyway, I didn't bother putting a different lens on here, so I probably won't use that. This I thought was just interesting because just like the bright, I don't know, the contrast here. So what I had in mind when I made this, I want to warm this up a little bit, but I really just wanted to play with the lights and shadows on this. And I'm gonna bring the foreground in just a little bit. But the main idea is that I wanted there to be a lot of shadow in this area. Make the main focus out here. I don't like how it's directly in the center. So we're going to bring this side in, I think, because I like this little bit of light down here. It shows the walkway. So that's fine. I mean, it's not like a award-winning image or anything like that, but it's still interesting. Again, the brightest point, it's being directed out there. All these leading lines are leading that direction. So compositionally, it's a sound photo. We'll keep that. We got this thing here. Oh, I think I was out of focus. Yep. It's okay. I'll throw that in topaz and see if we can't sharpen it up a little bit. They're all pretty much the same, so I'll just pick one, correct the verticals a little bit, warm it up, brighten it Add a little bit of contrast. Yeah, we'll mess around with this later. But like I said, I could probably run it through Topaz, Sharpen AI, and it'll be fine. And we got this. Let's go ahead and brighten this up a little bit here. So you can see I didn't even bother like with white balance at all. They're all very cool images, temperature-wise. Let's see. We'll just go ahead and sync all these. See what we're dealing with. Then we'll just find like basically what. We're not going to use any of these because this truck is like right directly in front of the building. So this is probably our best bet. One of these. Ooh, they're blurry. This is with my tilt shift lens, and I wasn't paying attention, but we can still sharpen that up with Topaz. Again, I revisited this building because the light was a lot better. Oh yeah, that looks really good. I just like that reflective light off the other buildings. It just makes it look cool. It adds a lot of texture to an otherwise flat surface. That one's good. And like I said, I revisited this one as well. But yeah, I was trying to use this bush to block off these cones, but it looks better straight on with these leading lines right up to it. So we'll use this. And like I said, these are just quick edits. I'm still going to go through and do some more detailed post-production on some of these. Not to the extent I would on a regular architectural photo shoot. But I want them to still be like impressive at the very least. I don't want them to be mediocre. So I'm going to do what I can with what I made. But overall, I mean, we've got, let's see, when I look at all this, we've got 14 images that I can use as blog content. Like I said, I'll probably make maybe three posts out of this. I don't know enough about Charlotte to like talk about like districts or neighborhoods or anything like that. So I have to think through how I'm going to group these. Obviously, this whole building here and these two right here, they're all in the same corner. So I could probably make one post just about this one corner where all this beautiful architecture is. And that will probably be the title or the subject of the post, just like look around you. Because literally if you look left, right, and center, this is what you see on this one particular corner. And obviously they designed it that way. But again, all you're looking for is to create blog content and possibly even some portfolio images, but nicely composed, nicely edited blog content. So I'm not going to make a part 2 of this. If you want, you can go and look at my blog, jordanpowersphotography.com. I'm only posting once a week, so I probably won't have these up for a little while because I have other stuff that's scheduled ahead of this, but maybe I'll push one of these up ahead of time just so I can start ranking for Charlotte. But again, the whole purpose of these is not to create portfolio images, even though I may add one of these to my portfolio. The point of this is to create compelling blog content so that you can keyword rank or, for SEO purposes on Google and whatever city you're looking to rank in. Obviously, this is more tied directly to commercial architecture photography. I would imagine you can do the similar thing with real estate, although I would probably take this kind of approach. Like when you see, if you see a home, for example, like if you're on Zillow and you look for houses, and maybe I'll make a video like that someday, but go to Zillow, look for homes that don't have very good exterior photos, and you maybe take a photo of the exterior, a nice one, and then send that to the agent and say, hey, by the way, I made this for you. That's something you could try, but this is geared specifically toward commercial architecture photography. And this is also how you start building a portfolio. My portfolio at one point in time only consisted of exterior commercial buildings that I shot while driving around. Basically exactly what I did. And just a side note, let's see, out of curiosity, this was shot at, let's see, what time did I photograph this at? 9:20 a.m. That was the first shot I took. This one was at 11:27 a.m. So in the course of 2 hours, I made 14 photos that I can use as 3 different blog posts. So you don't have to spend a significant amount of time. These aren't the most amazing images ever. Like if I were hired to make these, I'd spend a lot more time and there'd be a lot more involved than what you saw here. But in 2 hours, I made 14 photos that I can make into 3 different blog posts. So hopefully you found this helpful or inspiring. Please let me know if you have any questions.